Hi, I'm Kathy Leatherbarrow from Eden and welcome to today's Early Years Insight. Today I'm talking to Louise Scott from Shining Stars Nursery. Welcome.
Hi.
It's lovely to see you today.
You too.
And we're here to chat about training because
Yeah.
you are the training coordinator there at Shining Stars.
I am, yes.
It's a really important job you've got, isn't it?
I feel that it's a really important job, and it's a role that's been developed by our director, Paul. It's a new role.
It's
Paul
exciting.
actually approached me about the role.
Oh, nice.
He developed it and he'd kind of got sort of the tasks of the role and what he thought in his head was going to be this kind of role, and he'd put it forward to me and decided that with my skill set and knowledge and expertise in the childcare, because I've been in childcare 20 years, so he said, we've got some apprentices in the nursery, would you be willing to come along and kind of trial a role of being our nursery's training coordinator?
It's exciting.
So yeah, it was developed for myself based on kind of my past experiences in childcare, and we spoke about the role and what it entailed, got on board both nursery managers, because Shining Stars Day Nursery has two settings. One's based in the centre of Halifax and one is based at Illingworth. Both settings, we have around 50 staff that work across both settings. We have obviously the structure of the nursery from 2 nursery managers, 2 deputy managers, room leaders and the practitioners. We started off with a smaller number of apprentices when I first started. I started in September 23. I think we had about maybe 6 or 7 at that point, but within a year we've developed the role and obviously the quantity of apprentices that we now have. In summer we had 16.
Oh, wow.
Out of that 16, 5 of them qualified, which was
lovely.
amazing, because obviously I was part of that journey for them.
Yeah.
I'd obviously been their mentor and educated them through the different topics in early years, and then by summer of this year we got to the point where they were ready for their endpoint assessment.
Oh,
so
that's exciting.
it was nice to see them going on their learning journey really, and to see them flourish into new practitioners for the setting. So that was nice to see the confidence being built. Everything that they'd learn over their journey put into practice as a qualified member of staff.
The nicest thing about it is that, with apprenticeships especially, and with early years, that hands-on work and experience is vital, isn't it? That's, that's learning that you can't get in a classroom, isn't it?
I think what I enjoy most about the role is knowing that I can provide the practical competencies and knowledge, skills and behaviours within that practical role, and knowing that each learner develops differently, so we can focus on different topics throughout the year. We can work as a group together. How we work in our particular setting is each apprentice is given their 20% off the job by spending that quality time with myself.
Oh, wonderful.
So we actually have the privilege of being able to staff that, facilitate that for the apprentices.
So you can support them with that learning as well.
So what I do is I do observations. So I'll go in, and an average week might consist of looking at different observations and going in and doing some practical work with the apprentices. But when they are scheduled out on the rota to have some one-to-one time or group time, we do spend working on different topics.
Oh, that's great.
I've developed training around communication, behaviour, observations, assessments. Safeguarding is a massive one.
That's huge.
Safeguarding and health and safety courses that I have bespoke provided really, using like elements of the EYFS and also the policies and procedures of our setting. I've kind of used both of those methods to create my own training for them, because we believe at Shining Stars that it's really important to, from the onset, that the person that walks through that door who takes that role of the apprentice gets quality education, basically.
Yeah.
So we focus down on an introduction, a welcome pack, a welcome letter, which is then followed by an induction with myself. We then move on to like in-house safeguarding training.
So the support's there from the onset, as well as the learning and the training. It's the support mechanisms.
I mean, the
as
health
well.
and safety is very niche to our setting because obviously every environment, nursery environment, is different.
Yeah.
So we look at like what is most important safety-wise in terms of what they need to know from day dot. Basically.
And children can influence that as well, can't they?
Yeah. So I think our focus mainly, because the safeguarding welfare requirements in the UIFS are so crucial, as an organisation we focus heavily on the health and safety and safeguarding as priority before we move on to the learning and teaching.
Well, you've got to ensure safety first, haven't you?
Yeah, so it's very important for us that we get that right and they understand about ratios, staff to children ratios, and about safety of baby gates and making sure that visitors don't enter the nursery building without knowing who they are and passwords and all that really important, like non-use of mobile phones, all the crucial things that it is common sense and it is everyday practice for the qualified staff, and
but also there's a lot of learning behind that, isn't there? And there's reasons why those measures are in place, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think from then on, once we've got a good grasp of the knowledge and understanding of the safeguarding requirements of our setting, I usually talk to them about designated safeguarding lead, talking about cause for concern forms, ensuring that they know the correct policy and procedures to be able to know what to do if they had a concern about a child or a member of staff. I also use the gov.uk prevent duty,
absolutely,
the free prevent training, because obviously it's key.
And it's a good resource that's free as well, isn't it? Everybody should be accessing it.
So, you know, it heavily links to the safeguarding, and I like them to understand and know about prevent duty and how it's used within the setting and what policy procedures are sort of developed around that.
But there's a lot of personal safety for them with prevent as well, isn't there? You know, because especially if you've got a young apprentice.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of...
They're vulnerable, aren't they, in society? You know, they're the ones that we need to target and get them an understanding of why we do it.
But, you know, but also, you know, you might be educating them unknowingly about factors that are happening in their lives that are important to keeping them safe as well.
Definitely. I think that's crucial in them understanding why they are learning that particular course. From that topic, we have recently developed a lockdown procedure by the nursery managers who have both come together and worked together to produce a really good document that outlines what we do in terms of if an absolute worst case scenario happened and you know, we need to know what to do,
doesn't it? And you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah. So from the safeguarding, we move on to the topics, which are really exciting because we then look at the personal learning journey. I know that we've recently joined with Eden with our apprentices, which is really, really positive for us. Looking at different ways in which Eden can support the apprentices and working with some of the skills coaches and your induction officers, and it's been a pleasure. It's been we've had such a good positive experience so far. You know, I like the fact that it's very visual and that the learners can jump on a Teams meeting with like your colleagues and learn about different aspects of the topics, the themes, because the themes was quite new to me. I'd always done it with the units.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it's like I'm learning at the same time as the apprentices.
It's nice though, isn't it? It flows lovely.
And with Alan, with his courses.
Child's Developing Mind courses.
So I've not yet been on that course yet.
You'll really
but
enjoy it.
I've been told by colleagues that it's a really good course. So I am looking forward to introducing the apprentices to that course.
Good. And it's nice that you can tailor, can't you? You can tailor learning for an apprentice based on their individual learning styles and techniques, like we would for children.
Exactly.
We can adapt it to what best suits them, can't we?
What we do at Shining Stars is we've developed termly sort of SMART targets.
Okay.
So that is a way that it's an open conversation with myself. We get feedback from the room leaders and managers, and we sit and we just map out what we're going to do over that term for that individual learner. With you having themes, I'll probably now tailor it to what theme we're having, what you're doing with them at that time, and then base the practical competencies around that theory. Every apprentice is different. Everybody learns differently. Everyone's got their own individual learning needs. So as a training manager, I've got used to sort of the role in terms of how different learners
and adapting,
can be, and how I need to teach and adapt my learning in terms of learning styles for the individual. Knowing that some prefer reading and writing, some prefer more visual discussion, some prefer...
And some like just sitting back and modelling,
definitely.
And observing, don't they? Because I think what's important is, and I think how we are progressing in early years at the moment, as a nursery as a whole, obviously the environment's important, your resources are important, your planning of your learning, but ultimately your biggest resource is your practitioner, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's their knowledge and skills on learning that will endeavourly make a child flourish.
Exactly. I do believe that in an early years setting that leadership and management are there at the top of obviously the nursery family tree, and they're the most influential in terms of being, I think, anybody that works in leadership and management in a childcare setting, they are the most influential. It feeds down, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like a domino effect. You've got your leaders and managers, you've got your room leaders, you've got your practitioners, and I do think that if everybody supports each other and you're always learning all the time off each other. So like when we have management meetings at work, I feel that we always learn off each other. We have them quite often, which is nice, so we can share ideas, we can talk about topics, we can talk about staffing, we can, have that open conversation. I know that we also have a good communication in terms of the seniors, so they have their own group meetings with their teams. So we've got babies, toddlers and preschool, and they will have their own meetings and conduct them to talk about certain topics or just a general catch up, because it's so busy in nursery.
And also it's about
years.
There's a big emphasis at the moment through inspection and and through papers that are being written and produced. It's about the intention of the nursery, the intention of the room, and really that is just is what's your expectation? What you're planning? What are you hoping for those children to achieve while they're with you on a day-to-day basis before they move up to the next room, isn't it? So the intention of the room, and that will change all the time, won't it? So it's giving staff and practitioners, the empowerment to adapt with those changes as well, isn't it? And
I think what's
how
nice,
children will influence that, won't they?
Definitely. I think what's nice about it is it's given the onus on the practitioner to really understand about that child's unique development and their abilities and their learning and the well-being, and holistically they're able to focus down on their key children.
Absolutely.
And I think I see it as when I'm training, we always talk about their key children. I always offer them support in terms of, I might say like, can you just give me some examples of recent activities that you've done with your key children? How is this child progressing in this area? Do you need any extra support? Looking at resources, looking at environment. I also have developed some 3 Eyes training. So looking at the intent, implementation, impact.
Yeah.
So we have developed some training around just focusing on what they mean, because we do know Ofsted askers, and I'm always pointing out that Ofsted inspectors come round and they'll say, what's your intent?
Yeah.
And you need to know. So I use the words so that they start to understand what they mean from the onset, and then
also,
develop the knowledge
that
around
can be
that.
just really basic.
Yeah.
Or, it doesn't have to be anything really complicated or, hitting a certain, achievement, or it could just be extending the vocabulary.
Exactly.
It? And we've had lots of papers, published recently, about the importance of communication, of language, and giving children the time to build up that that word bank as such, and being able to use a good range of words and being able to communicate effectively, and understanding of words. So that's a really big role for a practitioner, isn't it?
Definitely.
To use a good range of words, description words, getting children to be able to describe things, and being able to discuss stories, retell stories. It's all building up that vocabulary bank, isn't it? And that is a really big intention, isn't it?
Definitely. I feel
so
that
important.
even like as an experienced practitioner, back then, I would need to be taught these things of really understanding, right, how do we communicate with the child? Yeah. It's not just about talking to them.
No.
It's about getting down to their level, giving good eye contact. But it's pointing out what we know, but what new people come into the sector don't necessarily know.
No, and, just by sitting on the floor with a child and talking and listening and giving children the opportunity to repeat or share ideas, that is so powerful.
Definitely.
In a child's communication, learning. Like you say, it's giving practitioners the knowledge to know that that's really important, and that's, a big intention.
Yeah,
isn't
definitely.
It?
Just in general, with educating them around what it means in terms of those. I think sometimes in early years, I've spoke to a lot of new apprentices, or even ones that have done the courses for a while. They are not always understanding what they mean because they're overthinking it, perhaps, or they've not. What they're doing, like you say, in their daily work is doing the 3 Eyes, but they don't always identify it as that.
I know. I think it's, like you say, I think they can think it's, they've got, they need to plan an activity. Yeah. And what's the intention of that activity, and what resources am I going to use, and it can become quite stressful, can't it? Because then what if the children don't learn what I've planned on that activity and have spent all that time on, where actually relax.
It's in the moment.
Yeah, relax.
That's why I feel in the moment planning really works. Yeah. I always say to my apprentices at work, I say, when you first start working with the children, you might not know anything about that child, but that's absolutely fine, because we all need to start somewhere. So the minute that child walks through the door, they've transitioned from baby room to toddlers, or toddlers to preschool, or they're a brand new child to that setting, it's just about getting to know that child.
And also, and it's about that, giving the child time to get to know, getting to know them as well.
Definitely.
You've got to building that relationship, haven't you?
Yeah. I always bang on about relationship building, because I set targets in the first month of, all I want you to do is go into the nursery room, enjoy getting involved and playing with the children, and basically getting to know the staff and children, getting to know them as people, getting to understand what tasks that you do to support the children, and really stripping it back so there's no kind of push to, you must know this, or you must understand.
It can be quite overwhelming for a new apprentice or a new member of staff to walk into a busy nursery room and play.
The thing
Can't
is,
it?
do
That
they
can be one of-
understand what
that
it is
can-
to play?
Yeah, that
you
can be
know?
one of the most difficult things where,
Yeah.
you know, if they're young themselves, that they think people are watching, they think I'm being silly.
Yeah.
But it's a big hurdle
It's a big hurdle.
It's a big hurdle to overcome, just to get involved, get on the floor and play. Enjoy
Exactly.
your time with the children, and they will enjoy being with you.
Yeah.
And learning will happen. But
think
then it's about
I've-
acknowledging what learning is happening. But initially, it's about relaxing, isn't it? And playing.
Relaxing into the role. I
Yeah.
think we've noticed recently that we have certain apprentices that know and expectations and know what tasks is involved, as in new ones that we've taken on. They've not always known what the role's about and known how to be in the role or tasks that they've got to be completed. And we've noticed that as a business, we need to establish and communicate over at recruitment stage exactly what is the role of an apprentice.
Yeah.
You know, what is involved in it? What do you do on a nursery day? How do you communicate? How do you go about a nursery day? Sometimes I think there's expectations that people understand.
Yeah.
Because they'll hear off the friends or family or people already in early years, you just play with children. And I think it's not about just playing with children. It's a really important role. And it's one that I've always been really passionate about. I've come from an apprentice and worked my way up the ladder. And I'm quite passionate about encouraging the younger people that actually early years is so important, and you are the key person to that child's life. You are, obviously the parents are the most influential, but if they are coming to nursery 5 days a week, full time, how important are you?
But you're providing those essential building blocks for their future learning. And if they're not there, then that future learning is hindered. You know, and lots of research has proven that. So
and
it's
obviously
just
the brain
so
development,
important.
the first 5 years of their lives is the most crucial.
Yeah.
I do believe that we really need to emphasise that in society as well. So there's a stigma that early years is, for me personally, I feel it's a little bit undervalued. Well, massively undervalued, should I say.
I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah, and I think with the current sort of budget that's gone out, you know, increase in wages, the fact that employers have to pay these extra NI contributions, and it's a bit of a dampener on the situation, really. I think that it needs to be shouted out about how important early years is, and for anybody watching this podcast and you're a young person or anybody,
how tough it can be.
Exactly.
How tough it can be. But equally how rewarding it is as well.
It's an amazing role, I think. And it's given me personally stepping stones to really sort of use my qualifications to move up the ladder as well. I think that we just need to emphasise that early years is not easy, but early years is rewarding. It's something that you can either work in nurseries or some people just enjoy nursery work and they enjoy working. There's lots of different opportunities.
There's lots of career opportunities if you've got an early years qualification.
Definitely.
Across health, social care, education.
Well, that's the thing. It's a stepping stone qualification.
It's quite a diverse qualification,
I
isn't
think
it?
so.
That
I
can
think
go
so.
across a lot of different sectors and can lead you onto lots of different paths, can't it?
It's like I always share my personal learning journey with the apprentices because I'm quite an open and honest person in terms of I like people to know my career steps so that they then can think, oh, well, you know, I can use my early years qualification in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as well, to know that it's vital for early years provisions to get qualified staff, but also to understand that early years qualification is really crucial in a child's life, that it can be used in really well, and
it's versatile.
It's
isn't it?
versatile. Yeah, definitely.
It's good.
So
Right, well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
our chat today. I've
It's
really
fine.
enjoyed it and hope you come and join me again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, no worries.